In the vastness of the galaxy, there were many alien races, each with their own secrets and power. But there was one secret that all of them feared, a force so dangerous that the very thought of it sent shivers through the strongest of alien empires. No one knew where it had come from, or who had created it, but all the ancient races understood one thing: this power was something that could change everything. For centuries, the Vorek, a ruthless and cunning alien species, had guarded this secret closely. They understood the weapon's potential more than anyone else. They believed that if any civilization discovered it, the balance of the entire galaxy would be shattered. The Vorek feared that if anyone ever learned to control this weapon, they could wipe out entire fleets, even entire star systems. They believed it was a power too dangerous to fall into the wrong hands, especially those of a young, unpredictable species like humanity. On Earth, however, no one had any idea of this ancient secret. Humans were still considered a relatively insignificant species by most of the galaxy. Their planet was quiet, isolated from the greater universe. But deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden away for thousands of years, the secret lay dormant, waiting to be uncovered. Dr. Lena Harper, an ambitious and brilliant scientist, had been working on a series of ancient alien artifacts she had uncovered in an underground research project. One artifact, a mysterious metallic cube, seemed to be unlike anything she had ever seen before. Unlike most alien technology that was crude and utilitarian, this cube shimmered with a strange energy. It was as if the artifact was alive, pulsing with power, waiting for someone to unlock its secrets. For months, Dr. Harper and her team struggled to decipher the cube's alien inscriptions, but they were unable to crack its code. The energy around the cube was unlike any known force, its power both terrifying and mesmerizing. It wasn't until one fateful evening when Dr. Harper, alone in her lab, accidentally activated the artifact. The moment her fingers brushed the cube's surface, a surge of energy blasted through the room, lighting up the entire facility with blinding light. The sound was deafening, like the roar of an ancient beast awakening from a long slumber. When the light faded, Dr. Harper found herself staring at something far more powerful than she had ever imagined. The cube, now fully activated, had revealed a holographic map of the galaxy, highlighting the locations of hidden alien bases and military fleets. But there was more. Within the map, there was a detailed blueprint of a weapon, an ancient weapon, the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. It wasn't just any weapon. This was a device capable of bending the very fabric of space itself. Dr. Harper knew that what she had discovered could change everything. This wasn't just a piece of alien technology. It was the key to the ultimate power. A weapon so devastating that it could rip apart fleets of ships in a single blast, tear apart planets, and even manipulate time itself. The potential of such a weapon was mind-boggling, and it was now in the hands of humanity. But Dr. Harper also knew that with great power came great risk. She was well aware of the galactic empires and their brutal tactics. If the aliens found out what humanity had uncovered, they would come for Earth. The Vorek would surely lead the charge, desperate to keep this weapon from falling into the wrong hands. As the realization set in, Dr. Harper quickly gathered her closest colleagues. Together, they began to study the weapon, its power, and its origins. They worked day and night, decoding the alien technology and learning how to harness its abilities. But every time they uncovered a new part of the weapon's potential, they also uncovered new dangers. The weapon was not just a tool of destruction, it was a key to something much larger. The more Dr. Harper studied it, the more she understood that this power had been buried for a reason. The weapon's original creators had intended it to be a deterrent, a last line of defense against the most dangerous threats in the galaxy. It was meant to be a weapon of ultimate destruction, created by an ancient race that had long since disappeared. But now, it was in the hands of a species that had barely made its mark on the galaxy. As Earth's leaders were brought into the fold, they were faced with a difficult question. What should humanity do with this newfound power? Should they use it to defend themselves against the alien empires that might come for them? Should they seek revenge for the way humans had been treated for centuries, isolated and ignored by the galaxy's most powerful races? Or should they destroy the weapon, ensuring that it would never fall into the wrong hands, even if it meant losing the chance to defend Earth? While the scientists and military leaders debated their options, a message arrived from the stars, a warning from the Vorik. Their spies had discovered humanity's discovery. The message was simple, but it made Earth's leaders understand the gravity of the situation. The galaxy's greatest fear has awakened. The weapon you possess is ours to control, or we will destroy you. Dr. Harper looked at the message, her heart heavy with the weight of what humanity now faced. She knew that there was no going back. The galaxy had just learned that humanity had unlocked the one thing all aliens feared. But would humanity use it wisely, or would they fall into the same trap of greed and destruction that had doomed other races? The choice was now theirs. And with it, the fate of Earth and the galaxy hung in the balance. The discovery of humanity's newfound power had shaken the galaxy to its core. Word spread quickly through the stars. Earth, a planet once considered insignificant, had unlocked a weapon so powerful it could threaten entire civilizations. Alien races that had once laughed at humanity's weakness were now terrified. Among them, the Vorik, the ruthless alien empire that had long dominated the galaxy, felt the deepest fear. For years, the Vorik had kept the ancient weapon's secret buried, knowing that its power could reshape the galaxy. But now that humans had unlocked it, the Vorik knew they could not allow Earth to control it. They had no choice but to prepare for war. The Vorik fleet began to assemble, their ships massing near Earth's solar system, ready to crush humanity before they could fully harness the weapon's potential. But Dr. Lena Harper and her team were not sitting idle. They had unlocked the weapon, and now they were improving it. The first step had been simple: learn how to use it. But once Dr. Harper understood the weapon's design, she and her team began to tweak it, enhancing its power and refining its technology. They had managed to increase the weapon's energy output by 100-fold. Now, it wasn't just capable of destroying entire fleets, it could tear apart entire planets. And that was exactly what the Vorik feared. While the Vorik prepared for their attack, Earth was not sitting defenseless. The weapon was ready, and humanity was more determined than ever. Dr. Harper knew the risks of unleashing such power, but she also understood that humanity's survival depended on it. The time had come to show the galaxy that Earth was not just a bystander in the grand scheme of things, it was a force to be reckoned with. The first strike came suddenly. Using the weapon's devastating power, Earth launched an attack on a Vorik outpost stationed on a distant moon. The outpost, designed to monitor Earth's movements, was completely destroyed in a single blast. The shockwave of the attack sent ripples through the galaxy, and for the first time, the Vorik realized that Earth was no longer an insignificant player, it had become a serious threat. The Corinthians, a fierce and proud warrior race, saw this as an opportunity to expand their influence. They had always been wary of Earth's potential, but had never considered it a real threat. Now, with humanity showing that it could destroy an entire outpost with ease, the Corinthians saw the rise of a dangerous new power. They knew they couldn't let Earth become too strong. The Exalthar, an advanced race of telepathic aliens, also saw the danger. The Exalthar had long held their position of power in the galaxy through their telepathic abilities, manipulating the minds of weaker species. They knew that humanity's power, if fully realized, could challenge their dominance. They, too, joined forces with the Corinthians, forming a powerful alliance to stop Earth from mastering the ancient weapon. Now Earth was not only facing the Vorik, but two other alien races bent on destroying humanity's chances of survival. The stakes had never been higher. With three of the galaxy's most powerful species targeting Earth, Dr. Harper knew that the fight would not be easy. The weapon might give them an edge, but it was clear that the galaxy's enemies would stop at nothing to prevent humanity from rising to power. Despite the overwhelming odds, Dr. Harper and her team were determined. Humanity had been underestimated for far too long, and now was their time to prove their strength. With the weapon in their hands, humans would not go down without a fight. They would show the galaxy that they were more than capable of defending themselves, no matter the cost. But as the war began, something unexpected happened. The more Dr. Harper studied the weapon had been designed as a last resort defense, something to protect against the most dangerous threats in the galaxy. But it was not without its dangers. It had the potential to destabilize entire star systems, causing ripples in space-time that could have catastrophic consequences. The more Dr. Harper tinkered with the weapon, the more she felt the weight of its power. She began to wonder if humanity was truly ready for such a force. Was it wise to use a weapon so destructive? Could Earth really control it without causing irreparable harm? The risks were high, and every decision seemed to come with a price. ASF, the battles intensified. Earth's enemies closed in. The Vorek, the Corinthians, and the Exalthar had formed an alliance, each species bringing its own strength to the fight. The galaxy was on the edge of a full-scale war, and humanity was at the center of it all. But Dr. Harper had one final realization. She had to decide whether to continue enhancing the weapon's power or to find another way to fight back without risking everything. The war was far from over, and humanity's future was still uncertain. One thing was clear. With the weapon in their hands, humanity had finally shown the galaxy that they were no longer helpless. The fight had just begun, and the fate of Earth and the galaxy would be decided by the choices made in the coming days. The war had escalated far beyond what anyone had expected. Humanity, armed with the ancient weapon that could tear the galaxy apart, now found itself locked in a fight for survival against some of the most powerful alien races the universe had ever seen. The Vorek, the Corinthians, and the Exalthar had all formed an unholy alliance to stop Earth from mastering the weapon, but they were not the only threat. Dr. Lena Harper had been working tirelessly, helping her team perfect the weapon and defend Earth. But as the battles raged on, a shocking truth emerged. The Vorek weren't the only ones afraid of humanity's newfound power. Some of the Council, the galaxy's ruling body of powerful alien factions, had secretly made deals with the Vorek and other enemies. They weren't just worried about humanity becoming too powerful, they feared that Earth might use the weapon to challenge the authority of the Council itself. For centuries, the Council had controlled the galaxy, keeping the peace through their sheer dominance. They ruled with a firm grip, making sure no one race became too powerful, and keeping humanity isolated and insignificant. But now, the tables had turned. Humanity had uncovered a weapon that could challenge the Council's very existence. And the Council had made a dangerous decision. Rather than let humanity rise to power, they would rather see it destroyed or controlled. Dr. Harper's suspicions had been growing for weeks. She had noticed strange shifts in the attitudes of some of Earth's supposed allies. Supplies promised to her team had been delayed, and key figures in the human military were acting more distant than usual. Then, a covert message arrived, hidden in the encrypted files of an old Council diplomat who had been working with Earth. The message revealed a shocking truth. Several factions of the Council had made deals with the Vorek. These factions feared the power humanity now wielded, and had promised to assist the Vorek in exchange for control over the weapon and Earth's future. The Council had known about the weapon all along. They feared that humanity might use it to rise up against them. They had watched Earth's rise with growing anxiety, knowing that if humanity ever learned how to fully harness its power, they could overthrow the ruling body that had kept the galaxy under their control for centuries. The Council didn't want a galaxy ruled by humans. They wanted to maintain their grip on power, and they would go to any lengths to make sure humans never realized their true potential. Now Earth faced an enemy from within. It wasn't just the Vorek, the Corinthians, and the Exalthar who sought to destroy humanity, it was the Council itself, working behind the scenes to prevent humans from gaining full control of the weapon. The stakes had never been higher, and the fight for survival had become even more complicated. Dr. Harper and her team were now trapped in a dangerous web of deception and betrayal. With the entire galaxy's future at stake, who could they trust? As Earth's enemies closed in, Dr. Harper was faced with a devastating decision. The weapon was their best chance of survival, but using it could put them directly at odds with the Council. If the truth about the Council's secret deals was exposed, Earth could find itself in a war not only with the alien factions that had come to destroy them, but also with the Council itself. The very system that had kept the galaxy in check for centuries could turn on humanity, and the consequences of exposing the truth might be disastrous. Dr. Harper couldn't ignore the facts. The Council had started this war. Their greed, their fear of losing power, had pushed them to make dangerous alliances with humanity's enemies. They had tried to manipulate the situation from the start, keeping humanity under control for as long as they could. But now, Earth had something the Council couldn't control: the weapon. The question now was, should humanity continue to fight for its survival using the weapon, knowing that the Council might turn against them? Or should they expose the truth about the Council's betrayal and risk everything to ensure that the galaxy would never again be ruled by a corrupt system? Dr. Harper knew that revealing the truth could mean the end of Earth's war efforts. It could lead to full-scale conflict with the Council, an entity far more powerful than anything humanity had ever faced. But if humanity didn't act, the Council would continue its grip on the galaxy, manipulating events from the shadows. The final decision wasn't just about fighting the alien races, it was about fighting the system that had kept the galaxy in its iron grip for centuries. Dr. Harper knew that humanity had the power to change things, but it came at a great cost. The weapon, powerful as it was, had the potential to destroy not only their enemies, but everything around them, including their own future. As the Vorik and their allies prepared for another strike, Earth's leadership had to make a choice: stand against the galaxy's corrupt system, expose them, truth, and risk everything for justice, or continue fighting to survive using the weapon they had discovered and hope they could maintain control. The war was no longer just about the weapon. It was about humanity's place in the galaxy and whether they would allow the Council's greed and fear to dictate their future. The galaxy was on the brink of collapse. War had spread across the stars, and humanity, once a forgotten and weak species, now found itself at the center of it all. The Vorik, the Corinthians, the Exalthar, and even the Council were closing in, all seeking to control or destroy Earth's most powerful weapon. It was a weapon so potent that it could obliterate entire fleets with a single strike. Humanity's only hope lay in this very weapon, a creation made to defend Earth from the galaxy's most terrifying threats. Yet, as the battle raged on, Dr. Lena Harper discovered something horrifying. The weapon they had been using to fight their enemies wasn't just designed to destroy; its true purpose was far worse. It wasn't just a tool for war, it had been created to erase entire civilizations from existence. The realization hit Dr. Harper like a thunderclap. The weapon didn't just have the power to wipe out fleets or planets, it could annihilate entire species, entire histories. What if, in their desperation, humanity used it? What if they destroyed the very fabric of the galaxy? The weapon could eradicate not just their enemies, but every civilization that had ever risen to power. It could create a void where nothing remained but the cold emptiness of space. It wasn't just about defeating the Vorik and the Council anymore. It was about whether humanity could control the very thing that made them a threat. With this knowledge, Dr. Harper was forced to confront the ultimate question: could humanity fight for survival without becoming the monster they once feared? The Vorik were closing in, and the Council had shown their true colors. They had made deals with the Vorik to suppress humanity's rise, and now they would stop at nothing to crush Earth's resistance. The situation was dire. The weapon was their only chance. But was it worth it? Dr. Harper's thoughts were clouded with the weight of responsibility. She'd always known the weapon was powerful, but the truth had now become undeniable. This was no ordinary weapon. The Vorik and other alien races had feared it for a reason. Its power was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and its destruction could reach far beyond the battlefield. As Earth's forces prepared for a final assault on the Vorik stronghold, Dr. Harper gathered her closest allies. The decision before them was simple in theory, but impossibly complicated in reality. Should they unleash the weapon, knowing it could tip the balance of power in their favor, but potentially cause unimaginable destruction? Or should they find a way to stop the war, even if it meant sacrificing everything they had fought for? Time was running out. The enemy was at the gates. The Vorik had launched a full-scale attack, and Earth's defenses were buckling. The Corinthians and Exalthar were moving into position, ready to strike. The weapon was humanity's last chance, but using it could risk destroying not just their enemies, but the entire galaxy. Dr. Harper couldn't ignore the cost. The weapon could give humanity the victory they so desperately wanted, but at what price? The Council had already manipulated the situation, forcing humanity into a position where using the weapon was the only option left. And yet, Dr. Harper knew that using the weapon might destroy everything they had fought for, everything they had hoped for. If they used the weapon, humanity might win, but would they be any different from the corrupt powers they had been fighting? The Vork's main fleet was just hours away from Earth, and their forces were vast. There was no more time to think, no more time to hesitate. The weapon had to be deployed. But Dr. Harper wasn't sure if humanity could handle the consequences. They had learned from the mistakes of the past, but were they truly prepared to carry the weight of such a decision? As Earth's final assault began, Dr. Harper stood at the center of the command room, staring at the weapon. The power to destroy everything was at her fingertips. Her team was counting on her. Earth was counting on her. But she knew that this moment would decide more than just humanity's fate. It would decide whether humanity could survive and rebuild, or whether they would become the very thing they had sought to destroy. In a final, desperate gamble, Dr. Harper made her decision. They would use the weapon, but not in the way anyone expected. She had found a way to control its power, to unleash it with precision and focus. The Vorek, the Council, and the other alien forces would feel its might, but humanity would not become the monster the galaxy feared. The weapon would be used to break the chains of oppression, to dismantle the corrupt system, but not to erase entire civilizations. As the weapon fired, it released an immense wave of energy. The Vork fleet shattered, their ships torn apart in an instant. The Council factions that had worked with the Vorek were exposed, their plans unraveling in the wake of humanity's unexpected retaliation. The galaxy was in chaos, but for the first time, humanity stood as its true equal. The weapon had worked, but at what cost? Dr. Harper knew the galaxy would never be the same. The final decision was made, and humanity had become the galaxy's greatest hope. But the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. There was no going back now. Humanity had proven its power, its strength, and its will to survive. But it was now time to rebuild not just Earth, but the galaxy itself. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning.